Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday of course, it is the live game preview ahead of Sunday's Premier League fixture between Chelsea and Everton at Stamford Bridge. Everton travelling down to London to play Chelsea. Carlo Ancelotti travelling to Stamford Bridge for the first time since taking over as Everton boss and for the first time obviously since he managed there in 2009. So a special game for himself and a big game for Everton as well. A game that really Everton can't lose, and you know, our recent form away from home against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge hasn't been fantastic, and by recent I'm literally talking years and years and years. I think we've beaten them something like once, maybe twice in the last 10 to 15 years, so it's not been fantastic, but we really mustn't lose this game if we want to stay in the fight for Europe, if we want to be in and around these positions, if we want to be battling with sides like Man United, sides like Wolves, sides like Arsenal, even Burnley, who are currently ahead of us in the Premier League table now. We need to be getting as many points as possible in games like this against sides that have got a lot of injury issues, which we're going to go into talking about in just a second. We need to really be taking advantage of that. It is the title of this team. We're going to talk about it, like I said, a little bit later on in the team. Chelsea have got a plethora of players that are out through injury and suspension as well. So we need to be taking advantage of that. Listen, Chelsea currently sitting 4th in the Premier League on 45 points, 8 points ahead of Everton. Frank Lampard done a fantastic job, I think, personally, with them in his first season, considering how, you know, his only other managerial experience was obviously Derby in the Championship. He's done really well to come into the Premier League, manage a club with the expectation of Chelsea, hit the ground running, and obviously sort of remain ahead of the rest of the sides that are sort of battling for that top 4 to top 5. When I look at Chelsea, without being too complimentary, obviously, because I'm not going to sit here and be too complimentary, but when I look at Chelsea, you know, I look at them, and when I think about top 4 challenges and teams that are realistically likely to finish within the top 4, I do think of Chelsea. I don't think of Manchester United. I don't think of Arsenal. I don't think either of those sides are good enough to finish in the top 4 this season, but I definitely think Chelsea are, and that is a massive credit to Frank Lampard and the work that he has done with this squad. However, I do think that Everton can get something out of this game, and I am quite confident. The only thing that is sort of turning me confidence a little bit is our past record at Stamford Bridge. And you know, we spoke about this when we talked about the Arsenal game, and when we gave the live preview to the Arsenal game, and you know, I spoke about the tweet that I seen saying that Arsenal was almost like the London Anfield, the Emirates was like the London Anfield for us, and I feel quite similar about Stamford Bridge. You know, grounds like the Emirates, Stamford Bridge, even White Hart Lane, we don't really do well at when we go to, but I am confident going into the game for all of the right reasons, the reasons that we're on good form, we're in good form. Obviously, we've only lost that one game against Arsenal, well, 2 games since Carlo Ancelotti's come in, one of them in recent weeks against Arsenal. You know, we were very unlucky to not get all 3 points last weekend against Manchester United. We should have won that game, and we did win that game fair and square and had it robbed from us. And the players are all in good stand, and the club morale and the sort of the feeling around the football club, and you can tell that, you know, in the change room, in the dressing room, amongst the players, it's a very good sort of atmosphere at the moment. So that gives me a lot of confidence. Obviously, the form of players gives me a lot of confidence. The likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, who I now think every time I watch them for Everton that they're going to score, or they're a threat to score. Especially Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he appears to be scoring, you know, near enough every week now. He's in fantastic form, and I think he's the most on-form striker since December, and has scored the most goals in the Premier League since December. So, you know, again, like I said, a little bit of confidence coming from the form that the attackers are in, and goal scorers. Similarly, defensive-wise, you know, Mason Holgate being in absolutely unbelievable form. Recently, we've seen that he has been rewarded with a new contract, which I dare say has a massive pay rise. Mason signed for another 5 years, keeping him with the club till 2025. So there are a lot of factors looking into this game that do give me confidence and do make me think, you know what, we can genuinely go there and we can get something. Like, I don't know whether we should sit here and say, you know, we're going to win. We could win, that we could definitely win. Looking at the list of players that Chelsea potentially may have out for Sunday's game, you know, I think if you don't think that we've got a chance, you'll probably think that we've got a chance after I reel the names off that are on this list, because it is a lot of significant key players for Chelsea that could be missing on Sunday through injury. But like I said, there is always that burden, there is always that weight on your shoulders that you think of when you think about Everton travelling to sides like Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, is that, you know, no matter how badly informed that the team is that we're playing, no matter how many injuries the team is that we've got. It's that sort of feeling about going to these grounds that we haven't won at in such a while, and having to overcome that mental game again, very similar to Anfield, but just on a smaller scale. It's having to overcome that mental factor that we haven't won there in so long, and go on and win. And I suppose what Everton have to do on Sunday is what we have to do when we play any side like this. What we done against Arsenal, I firmly believe, especially in the second half, is not worry about where we're playing, and not worry about the size of the club or what the club have achieved that we're playing, but more worry about the players that we're playing against on the pitch and the quality of the players that are on the pitch. And don't get me wrong, I do think Chelsea have got quality in this side, even with the injuries. I do think that they've got quality, and like I said, I think Frank Lampard for me has done a fantastic job so far with them, but there's definitely room for us to go out and get something out of this game. And for me, we simply have to get something out of this game, whether it be a win, whether it be 3 points, whether it be a point. We have to go out there and get at least a point, because the aim is now to finish. If it's not in a European place, let's say, it's in and around the European place. It's within a couple of points away from a European place. And like I said before, you've got the likes of Burnley now, who are gaining points and who are climbing the table by beating teams that are not doing as well this season. Arsenal, Manchester United. So we need to really be picking up points against these sides. We should have beat Manchester United last week at Goodison Park. We were absolutely robbed, and now we need to go out there and we need to bounce back, really, a little bit like we did after the Arsenal game. We lost to Arsenal. We had a plethora of opportunities to pull the game back against Arsenal. We didn't take any of them. We ended up losing that game. We come out against Manchester United. Okay, first half we were a little bit shaky. Second half, we put our foot on the gas. We got there, we won that game fair and square. It was robbed from us, and now, because we've had that sense of injustice, we need to go out there and we need to put in a top performance on Sunday, because it's going to need a top performance for us to get anything out the game. Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti's showing last week that he was a lot more tactically advanced than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, something that we all knew anyway, and he may have to be a lot more tactically advanced than Frank Lampard as well on Sunday. But I do think that we could potentially go out there and win. I really do think we could potentially go out there and win. We'll talk about some of Chelsea's issues in just a second before we go into my predicted starting 11. But like I said, for me, if it's not a win, it's a point. It's got to be at least a point. If we don't win, I will be disappointed, because I want to win every game. And under this manager, under this regime, with how confident the players are, how well the players are playing, the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the likes of Richarlison, the likes of Mason Holgate, obviously Andre Gomez coming back, you do feel like you're going into every game thinking, you know what, we can win this no matter who you're playing. But if we can't manage to win, if we don't win, we need to be taking at least a point out of games like this, because we can't be losing, despite the fact we're against we're playing sides that maybe potentially have had a better start to the season. So anyway, I may as well discuss the issues that Chelsea have got, because it's the title of the live stream. It's what people are going to want to hear us talk about. Before I do that, I am just going to tweet the stream out and let everybody know on Twitter that we are live. If you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. And if you've got Twitter, if you've got Instagram, if you've got Snapchat, let's get the live stream shared as much as possible and see how many people we can get in here to talk about Sunday's fixture. As I'm sure you all probably know, tonight is the night I will be completing the Goodison Park sleep out with my girlfriend. We'll be heading to Goodison Park around about 8:30 tonight. I'm going to be vlogging the night. I'm actually going to start the vlog pretty much straight after the live stream, so look forward to seeing that in the coming days. You can still donate. I've left both the links in the description down below. If you've got anything whatsoever, whether it be a penny, a pound, we would be greatly appreciative if you could donate to either link in the description down below. But that is tonight. We'll be leaving for Goodison in a couple of hours time. I'll be filming that. I'll be trying to get as many people involved in that as possible. But anyway, like I said, going on to Chelsea's injury issues, as well as players that have been suspended. So we know for a definite that Jorginho is suspended through, obviously, I think he got a couple of yellows and ended up receiving a red, and therefore is suspended. So he definitely won't be able to play in this game. Again, a midfielder that I think is split in the opinion of Chelsea fans. You'll have a lot of Chelsea fans stating that they, believe he is good and he affects the game, and there's also some Chelsea fans that mightn't believe he is as good. But one thing's for definite is that he's a player that's played an awful lot of Premier League games this season, and a player that Frank Lampard very clearly trusts, and a player that Frank Lampard likes to have in the squad. So he obviously is a big miss for them. And then it's being reported that Christensen, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Tammy Abraham, N'Golo Kante, Kovacic and Willian are all injured as well. So that is a massive plethora of players, and you've got players in there like Hudson-Odoi, who we know has got a lot of potential, a lot of quality, like Tammy Abraham, again, young, had a decent season so far. Experienced players like Kante, who, controls the ball, controls the midfield, is their sort of sweeper, is their player that when they're under pressure and when they're under the cosh, picks the ball up and distributes the ball well. And that's exactly, we need to be exploiting the fact that they've not got a Kante, or they've not got a Tammy Abraham to create opportunities, or they've not got somebody like a Hudson-Odoi to come off the bench and use that pace and use that energy. We need to be exploiting that, because Chelsea are likely to line up with a midfield, like I said, without N'Golo Kante, if the rumours are true and he is out injured. We're definitely without Jorginho, so that we could see a midfield too of Chelsea that, dare I say, consists of an ex-Everton player that, dare I say, probably won't want to play against us. Obviously, we know what we're talking about Ross Barkley. He scored the other day against Liverpool, so he might be full of confidence, but he's not going to want to step in and play against an Everton side full of players that are going to want to be getting at him, as well as fans that are going to be getting at him all day. He's played against Everton before for Chelsea. He done nothing really. He strolled about the pitch, and you could tell he didn't want to be there. Also, Willian as well, again. Another experienced player, another player that's been at Chelsea for absolute years, and another player that's caused Everton issues over the years, consistent issues as well. So he is a big miss for them. At the end of the day, a lot of news reporters are expecting Chelsea to have around 9 first team players out on Sunday afternoon. 9 players that probably and potentially would have started. Maybe not all 9, of course, but definitely 9 that were in contention of starting the game on Sunday. They could be out injured for Chelsea, and it's a simple factor of we need to take advantage of that. We can't be going away to sides like Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, even Liverpool, and not taking advantage of the fact that they've got so many first team players injured. If Everton were to play Brighton and Hove Albion at home, let's say for example, and we were to have Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin and Bernard and Gomez and Holgate and Mina out injured, Brighton and Hove Albion would be coming with the tails up with loads of confidence, thinking let's take advantage of the fact that they've got a load of first teamers injured, and let's try and pick up some points that we maybe wouldn't necessarily usually pick up. Like I said, Chelsea again this season, they've been in good form steadily, but there have been periods in the season where they've dipped sort of, and it's been a little bit roller coaster. Obviously Everton beating them 3-1 at Goodison Park, Duncan Ferguson's first game in charge just after Marco Silva was sacked. And again, that was a sort of a moment in Chelsea's season where they were a little bit up and down, a little bit roller coastery, if you'd like. So, they're definitely a team that you can get at, and they're definitely a team that you can exploit defensively. And I think Everton are in a fantastic position with the form that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is on, with the form that Richarlison is on, to get at Chelsea. Because Chelsea are a side, like I said, that they've got a relatively decent midfield, relatively decent defence, but if you can break it through, if you can get through, if you can counter well, they can leak goals, and they do leak goals, and we don't notoriously do well away from home against Chelsea, because they've always got something, and they notoriously scored in the last 5 minutes to win the game. But if we can take some of the opportunities that we create early on, because the way I see this game going is very similar to the way I see the Arsenal game going, very similar to the way I see the Manchester United game going in bits, as that I see Everton coming out on the front foot for the first maybe 20-25 minutes, creating 2, 3, 4 clear-cut opportunities. Now, it's not only is it whether we score one of them, obviously we've seen in the last 2 weeks we've managed to do that, we've managed to score within the first 5 minutes, but it's also about converting the other chances we create. We've seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin have a one-on-one opportunity against David De Gea, obviously straight after he scored last week, and he couldn't convert it. We've seen it a couple of weeks ago against Arsenal. We were constant creating chances, and then of course in the second half. So Everton need to make the most of the possession that we have and the chances that we're creating, because at the end of the day, yes, the strikers are in good form, yes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been playing fantastically, very similar to Richarlison as well, but if we're creating 10 chances, we need to be scoring more than one of them, and especially if the chances are so clear-cut as one-on-one opportunities with keepers. So I see Everton coming out, having a decent amount of opportunities, whether it be clear-cut or just, decent amount of possession in the first 20-25 minutes, and what we need to do, and what Carlo Ancelotti needs to ensure these players know is to take advantage of that and really put Chelsea to the sword straight away, because what we've seen against Manchester United is just go 1-0 up, then have an opportunity to go 2-0 up, miss that opportunity, and they immediately went down the other end of the pitch, hit the crossbar, and then they sort of consoled the first half. Then they consoled the rest of the first half, and then it took the half-time team talk for us to come out, regain control of the ball, and then start to create chances again. Whereas if we catch Chelsea sleeping within the first 10-15 minutes and we manage to take advantage of that and put the ball in the back of the net 3 or 4 times, or create those chances and actually put them in the back of the net, then all of a sudden on the 25th, 30th minute, Chelsea might be sitting there thinking, we're 3-0 down here, are we realistically going to get back into this game? Have we got any motivation to get back into this game? Because again, Chelsea have got players that can control the ball, that can sit in the midfield, and that, let's be honest, whether we like him or not, and we don't like him, in Ross Barkley, they've got a player there that can pick the ball up and can drive with it. We've seen it when he was an Everton player, and like I said, we don't like him, of course we don't, but we've seen it literally as recent as last week against Liverpool. He picked the ball up, he drives, and he can beat players as well. So not only do we have to make the most of the possession that we've got early on and the chances that we create, but we also obviously have to make sure that defensively we're very, very tight, and we're not letting anything leak through, and we're not letting anything, sort of break past us, because even with the amount of players that Chelsea have got injured, first team players, they've still of course got, a fair bit of quality that can hit you. Pedro obviously scored. Recently they've got, Giroud, who we know, okay, he might be the best striker since sliced bread, but he can definitely create opportunities. So, it's a big game for Everton. It is a big opportunity. Like I said, for me, it's a massive opportunity to win, and I'm confident that we can go out there and get something out of the game. The only reason I'm not confident about a win, I am confident we can get a win, but the only reason I'm not like, I'm nailed on, we can win this game and we should win this game, is because of that sort of big weight on our shoulder regarding playing Chelsea and the record at Chelsea. But ultimately, to take that away from it, and we should be taking that away from it, we're playing a side that have got a lot of key players in key positions out injured, and we need to take advantage of that. And ultimately, if we want to show ourselves as a real contender for European football, whether it be Champions League, whether it be Premier League, whether it be Europa League, we need to be shown to be able to go away to sides like Chelsea and win games of football and put in decent performances. Carlo Ancelotti's been saying today that he hasn't spoke specifically about this season, but he said he sees us, being qualifying for the Champions League next season, and that's how it should go. If we're going to be looking at, to achieve those aims, and if we're going to be looking to qualify for the Champions League within the next year, then we simply do need to be going away to sides like Chelsea and winning games of football. Not saying we need to win, we need to beat every one of the top sides or the top six away from home. We're not saying that we will or that's realistic, but we definitely can't afford to go away to Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Tottenham every year and lose every one of those games. We just simply can't afford it. Anyway, let's get into the live comments now. Let's see what everybody is saying. Ethan says score prediction. Probably gonna go 2-2 for this one. I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit and go for a draw. If you're enjoying the team, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. David says, we don't win there. 2-1. About time it changed. I hope so, mate. I hope so. Chris says, hi, pal. Hope you're well. I'm not too bad. Chris, hope you're doing well. He also says, my prediction 1-1, but won't be surprised if you win. You must take advantage of Chelsea's inconsistencies, and it will be an interesting game to watch. Again, not only taking advantage of their injuries, but also taking advantage of their inconsistencies. Like you've said there, Chelsea have had a season where ultimately they've been solid because they're sitting in fourth. And again, for me, like I said, I think they're not a massive step above everybody else that are fighting for the Champions League or the Europa League, but I do still think they're a step above everybody else. But you're right, they have been inconsistent at times this season. David says we have to win or definitely forget Europe. Fair point. Chris says you were unlucky at Arsenal. We were. Well, you create your own luck, don't you? And I'd say we were unlucky and we were robbed last week against Man United. I'd say we just needed to convert some of the chances we created against Arsenal. Where are we? God says the youth have really stepped up this year and performed, which I'm looking forward to. How good this club will be in the next few years. Exactly, spot on, and it's fantastic to see the likes of Mason Holgate signing a new 5-year deal. Extension, obviously, he seems really happy about it, and he's really positive. Carlo Ancelotti said today in his press conference that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is shortly to follow, and that there's positive negotiations going on with him about signing a new contract. And I fully expect Dom to sign the deal within the next sort of week or so. I definitely expect before, next week, before I'm sitting here talking about the Merseyside derby, I expect Dominic Calvert-Lewin to have signed and become an Everton player for the further 5 years, a little bit like Mason Holgate. Dave says Bernard won't start. Cam Ancelotti says he sees him affecting games when we're on the front foot. That's fair enough. I put him in the predicted starting 11, which we'll talk about in a second, purely because I just think I'd rather have him there than Gylfi Sigurdsson or Alex Iwobi. I think he'd be more use, and I think he'd be more of a threat against Chelsea. I'll take one more comment and then we'll go into the live. We'll go into the predicted starting 11 before we get back into the live comments. Where he says, "Hey, how's everyone doing, Cam lad? I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad." So before we get back into them, we'll go into the predicted starting 11 now, because why not? As you can see on the left hand side of me, I've gone for Jordan Pickford in goal. Again, say the same every week. Whatever you think of him. Made an absolute howler against Manchester United for us to concede the goal, but then kept us in the game with a fantastic double save. And irregardless, realistically, of what we think of Jordan Pickford, whether we think he's good enough or whether we think we don't think he's good enough, he's our starting goalkeeper at least until the summer, or until Carlo Ancelotti decides to give João Virginia the going goal, which I don't think is going to happen. I've gone for the back line of Luca Dean. Luca Dean coming back in. He is fit for this game. Carlo Ancelotti confirmed today in his pre-game press conference that Luca Dean is fit. He is available. Seamus Coleman, however, is not. He's going to spend a couple of weeks on the sideline. I've gone for Luca Dean in there. I think Leighton Baines has been fantastic recently, by the way. He stepped in and he's done exactly what he needed to do. He's been absolutely unbelievable recently. And, Carlo Ancelotti again speaking today about Leighton Baines and speaking about how he wants him to stay on for another year, and he thinks he's been the ultimate professional and his performances have been up to scratch. So hopefully, again, talking about contract renewals, hopefully we see Leighton Baines sign on for at least another year, maybe even longer. But I've gone for Luca Dean in there. Again, Leighton's played a couple of games now. He's looked fantastic, don't get me wrong. He hasn't looked off the pace, but I think if Luca Dean's fit and ready, I just think with his youth and obviously having the fitness element to it and the stamina, just think he potentially offers us a little bit more, certainly going forward, than maybe Leighton Baines does. That's probably going to wind a few people up, and a few people will probably keep Leighton in there. But, again, I wouldn't be opposed to having Leighton Baines in there again and having Luca Dean on the bench. I just think with Luca Dean being fit, I would expect him to start personally. And then, of course, I've gone for Mason Holgate and Yerry Mina at the centre of the defence. Mason Holgate, again, another fantastic performance last week against Manchester United. Really, really solid throughout the entire game. Didn't really put a foot wrong whatsoever. Signed a new deal, as we know, through the week, adding his contract to keep him at Everton until at least 2025. Spoke so positively about the football club and positively about the future as well. Carlo Ancelotti today has said, not actually in the press conference, I think it was in an interview, probably with Sky, because he's had an interview released with Sky. He said that he does see potentially Mason Holgate being captain material in the future for Everton, but he needs to get his head down and he needs to carry on working. So I've gone for Mason Holgate in there. I've gone for Yerry Mina partnering him. It's not really against Michael Keane, to be honest with you. I think Michael Keane played quite well last week. He didn't really put a foot wrong. He'd done everything he needed to do. Again, since Ancelotti's come in and since Duncan Ferguson stepped in, I think Michael Keane's played a lot better and he seemed a lot more consistent. It's very, very clear that Ancelotti is going to interchange the centre-backs, pretty much every week. It's got 1 week it might be Holgate, 1 week it might be Mina, 1 week it might be Keane. He's going to interchange it quite often, and I do see Yerry Mina stepping back in. Just in terms of tactically, I think Yerry probably offers us a little bit more in the air, a little bit more of an aerial threat. And if we're coming up against the Chelsea side that have got somebody like Giroud in the team, aerial threat is massive, because he has got a lot of aerial threat, Giroud. And Chelsea notoriously have got some good tall attackers as well. So for me, I see Yerry Mina coming back in again. Nothing really against Michael Keane. I just think that potentially Yerry will be again put back in, and Michael Keane will be rested with Mason next to him. I think Mason is our number one centre half now, pretty much clear week in, week out. I've gone for Djibril Sidibe at right back. Like we said before, Seamus Coleman has been confirmed injured by Carlo Ancelotti. He is due to spend a couple of weeks on the sidelines at least. So no other option really there. Djibril Sidibe steps in again. Bit hot and cold against Manchester United last week. Obviously come on due to Seamus' injury. Seamus, coming off and Sidibe coming on early on in the game. Again, like he usually does, Sidibe takes 10, 15, 20 minutes to get into the game, and then once he settles, he does okay. I've gone in the obviously going into the midfield. I've gone for Andre Gomez and Gylfi Sigurdsson. Again, Gomez being in there, there's not many options really. Morgan Schneiderlin's still out injured. Obviously, Jean-Philippe Gbamin's still out injured. He may potentially go with Tom Davies in there again. I think Tom played well last week. Personally, I think Tom plays a lot better at home than he does away from home, because I think he feeds off the good energy and the crowd and the positive atmosphere more than he does away from home. I think he struggles away from home, especially against sides like Chelsea, like Arsenal's, where he hasn't necessarily got all of the room to run around, and he's going to have players on his back consistently. So I just think that Carlo Ancelotti may have thought about that and assessed that, and potentially he'll bring him out and slot slot Gylfi back into his natural sort of midfield role. Not natural because his natural's number 10, but natural centre midfield role. Obviously next to Andre Gomez. I've gone for Bernard on the wing, on the left wing, and Theo Walcott on the other. I know Carlo Ancelotti spoke about how he sees Bernard potentially as somebody that is a little bit better coming off the bench and affecting games. And I actually understand that and agree with it to an extent. I think a player of Bernard's quality and skill and pace coming off the bench to come on to sort of run against the side that have got tired legs and that have been playing football for 60-70 minutes and maybe aren't as fit as they were at the start of the game. I understand that. I just think I'd rather have Bernard in there from the off to run at Chelsea and to again create opportunities and break past them and to use his pace and his skillfulness on the counter, rather than have, for me, somebody like Gylfi Sigurdsson or Alex Iwobi there who at the moment for me would just be there to fill a space and don't do an awful lot. Theo Walcott on the right hand side, again we haven't got many options for the right hand side. Theo, listen, he wasn't great, was he, last week? He didn't do an awful lot, but again, to be fair to him, in the last couple of weeks, he's played quite well, certainly against Crystal Palace, put in a fantastic ball for Bernard. So, Theo on the right, Bernard on the left, and then I've gone for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front. Again, as per usual, I think that's a strike partnership that will not be changed now unless there's some sort of injury or some sort of fitness issue. So I've gone for those two up front. Let me know your thoughts on my predicted starting 11 in the comment section down below. Obviously, Dom, again on the score sheet last week, very clever goal. Wasn't the best finish, obviously. Ultimately, it come from a mistake from David De Gea, but definitely a clever goal. So let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section down below. If you'd agree with it, brilliant. If you don't agree with it, why don't you agree with it, and leave who you would have in the comments and we'll talk through them. Where are we? Chris says, impossible to win every game, to be honest, whoever you are. It is in this day and age, I'd say. David says 9 points VAR has cost us this season according to an independent report, and us and Newcastle are the only teams in all 4 leagues to have not been given a penalty. There you go, not given a penalty all season. Ultimately, when we should have been given a penalty last week, which would have potentially won us the game, we weren't given one, and that is the reason. Again, I don't want to talk too much about VAR because we know it's going to screw us over near enough every week. This week against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea a side that notoriously get decisions given to them by officials and by VAR and by all of this because officials are scared of them. We've got, Martin Atkinson on the VAR and Kevin Friend as the on-field referee. So again, like I said, I don't want to go into talking about VAR too much. I don't want to rant, I don't want to rave because we've already had those discussions, but don't expect us to get anything from the officials on Sunday. Just don't expect it. Rams' big opportunity to take a win. Hopefully we do take advantage. Our biggest downhill is not taking advantage when opportunity presents itself. I agree. David says, yeah, Prem stats have us 1 goal in 11 shots. Exactly, we need to improve that. Rams says, in the end, we cannot control VAR, but if the club controls the things it can, then VAR is not an issue. Good point. David says VAR is a massive issue. Spoons. Remy says, hey Jess. David says, why does Silent Jess think? What does Silent Jess think? Remy says, haha, time and Dave. Jess says, hi, yeah. Dave says, way. Remy says, I'm not saying VAR isn't a mess, Dave. I'm saying Everton Football Club or fans have no say in what VAR does. We do have a say in what we do on the pitch. We need to close games out. Fair point, fair point. If you're enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter while you're there. It only takes a second. Obviously, after the live stream, don't click off the live stream to follow us. Wait until the live stream finished and then go and follow us. I'll remind you at the end. David says, definitely the stats show we don't convert 1 in 10 balls, which is terrible for pro ballers. Ewan says, Everton will beat Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. I hope so. Chris says, also unlucky and robbed versus United, like you mentioned. Exactly. David says, hit like, Cam gets 96p. Where said, I wish it was that. Where says, if we can get to 50%, then we win most of our games and VAR can do what it wants. It wouldn't matter what VAR did. Nice, that's Dave. That's something that the club can address. Yeah, potentially. I still think VAR would have some way to screw us over, if I'm being honest with you. I just think that they'll always have a way to screw us over. Williams is 96p's. John says, good luck tonight to you and your girlfriend in the sleep out wrap up. Thank you very much. Like I said, I will be doing a vlog starting literally straight after this live stream, going through the entire night. Hopefully we can get some interviews, talk to some fellow fan channels and fellow fans as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I am a little bit nervous, I think, because I don't know how cold it's going to be, but I am looking forward to it. And obviously, it's all for a good cause as well. Like I said before, continue to remind you, there is 2 links to 2 Just Giving pages, both mine and Jess's, in the description down below as well. If you can spare absolutely any change whatsoever, whether it be a penny, whether it be a pound, it will be greatly appreciated. And obviously, it's going towards a fantastic cause, raising money for Everton in the community and the Home is Where the Heart Is campaign as well. I'll be vlogging it. I probably won't be going live. I'd love to go live, but I probably won't be because of the connection issues at Everton. But I'll definitely be vlogging it and getting it up as a vlog, within the next week or so, as soon as I can sit down and edit it. Rumour says, on your Pickford save, no save comment, did you see Fernandes nearly did the same to Mignolet, but hit the post, but the shot also deceived Mignolet? I think that's one of Fernandes' little skills. I didn't, mate. I didn't, to be honest with you. Wim says, Dawes, how's you doing? David says, no inappropriate behaviour cam, VAR will spot minicam, it's offside. William says, minicam's always offside. Because are you going the game on Sunday, mate, or do you just go home? I'm not going the game on Sunday. I tend to just go to home games. I'd love to go more away games, but unfortunately I'm not there on Sunday. Dodge says, I'm doing well. I think I'll open a bottle of red wine. And then this says, good luck tonight at the sleep-in. Make sure everyone goes and gives whatever they can for a great cause. All the best, mate, and keep up the amazing work. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that, Hernandez. William says, hey, Hernandez. Where are we? You said, what do you think of Ross Barkley chatting about Everton when he scored for Chelsea against Liverpool? Weird, really weird, because the way he left us and the way, he done us dirty and then coming out and not giving it the whole, being an Evertonian as I've got, I don't like all that shit. Don't do your boyhood club out of pretty much £30 million and then leave without saying anything, as if you don't like us, and then come out and saying, being an Evertonian growing up. I don't like it. I don't like it. Just don't mention us. Get on with your own career, and that's it. God says, unrelated news, George Weah's nephew is in the Minnesota Academy and has been training with the first team. Spot on. John says, Delph could be an option. William says, I try not to ever think about Ross Barkley. Me too. David says, he's an Evertonian, but he screwed us out of 20 million. He did. Chris says, off topic, if you ever need an opposition preview for the Merseyside derby next week, I'll happily do it, as our other fans hide away. Drop us a DM, Chris, on Twitter, and we'll talk about it. Definitely get one done. William says, wrap up. My name is Cam. I do a live show, so I'll use your thumbs and hit the like, yo. There you go. I can't take credit for that. That is wormy, so there you go. William says, what do you think of the Premier League players at the weekend banned for not shaking hands? If you want me honest opinion, I think it's going to go from not shaking hands. I think they're going to play all Premier League games behind closed doors for the last, 10 games of the season. And I think they're going to delay the Euros and maybe even potentially knock the Euros on the head. Because if this coronavirus becomes as it is worldwide, if it continues to grow and continues to spread, I think fans are going to be stopped from going to games, certainly in the Premier League. Ian says, donated, bud. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. And Dobby says, but this is a dead show. I don't know whether that's in response to the rap or you're just insulting the live team there. I'm not too sure. Anyway, yeah, like we said, listen, a big game for Everton on Sunday. A big opportunity for us to go out there and actually, get a victory against the side that we don't notoriously do well against and don't notoriously do well against away from home. Certainly away from home as well. Listen, it's a big chance. It is a big opportunity. If we can go out and we can beat Chelsea and we can get the 3 points, I think it gives not only a lot of confidence to the fans, but a lot of confidence to the players going forward as well. And ultimately, even when you take away the fact that it'll give the players a lot of confidence, and when you take away the fact that it'll, mean that we've sort of stepped over this burden and this weight on our shoulder about not beating a top side in London or away from home, whatever you want to call it, ultimately it'll mean that we've gained 3 points on our opposition sides who are in and around us, who are also challenging for European competitions. The likes of Burnley, the likes of Man United, and maybe even potentially the likes of Chelsea as well. So we need to win for the Premier League table, and if we've got any aspirations of getting into a European competition or playing in Europe, then we need to get the 3 points as well. And like I said before, if we cannot win, simply do not lose. We just can't lose. Baz said that from Toffee TV, so you probably heard that. I'm not even going to act that I've made it up, but it's such a good mentality to have. If we don't win the game and we can't win the game, just don't lose it, because we need to be picking up as many points as possible. John says, what do you think would happen on our season tickets if the games get played behind closed doors? Refund for games remaining? I don't know. Potentially would be refunded for the remaining games, but I don't know whether to just sort of say, listen, we can't really control it. It's an epidemic. It is what it is. just have to get on with it. I don't know. Chris says, do you think we can beat Chelsea on Sunday? I do think we can beat them. I'm going to go with a draw. Joel says prediction, Cam. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw, but I do think we can beat them, and we definitely should be getting something out of the game. Remember says, have a good weekend, everyone. Good luck on the sleep out, Cam, when you're back. 3-1 Everton. Thank you very much. I'll be back on Sunday, obviously, with the with the instant match reaction straight after the game. So don't forget to join us for that one. Game's at 2 o'clock, so it'll be straight after the game. We'll have the instant match reaction to the result. Hopefully it's a positive one, and potentially even hopefully it's a win. Like I said, I'll be vlogging the sleep out. It won't go up before Sunday, but I'll aim to have the vlog up some point next week. So don't forget to look out for that one as well. And Joel says I'll go 1-1. And Wimby says not with that injury list. That's going to do it anyway for today. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Only takes a second. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Links are all in the description below. And like I said before, if you can donate literally anything, there's 2 links in the description down below. What I'd say is if you were going to donate, let's say a tenner to me, just for example, not saying you'd have to, split it in half and donate 5 to me and 5 to Jess as well. There's 2 links. If you can donate literally anything whatsoever, whether it be a penny, a pound, £2, split it in half and offer it to each of us if you'd be so kind. Really, really would appreciate it. I'm off to go and eat me tea, wrap up warm, get to Goodison Park and go and sleep out and hopefully see a lot of YouTubers and a lot of Everton fans and just talk all night and, you know, brave the cold for a fantastic cause as well. Yeah, big thanks for watching. God says stay warm tonight, Cam. I will do. Thanks very much. Carl says, sorry I'm late, had work to do. I'll drop you a DM. Thanks very much, Carl. No worries. And Newton says, who would you get rid of in the summer if you were the Everton manager? There's a list of players, mate. There's a list of players. But I'll tell you what, join us next week and we'll talk about that one. Join us on Wednesday. We'll do a Q&A on Wednesday and we'll talk about that. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.